Welcome to John Esse's Sports Channel, where we're going to go through the opening games of League One. Yeah, we're nearly there. August the 1st is where we start. We're going to look through each team game by game, look at the odds for the home win, away win, for the draw. Then we're going to match that with where people have been saying and what they're going to finish, and where people have been making comments on my channel. We'll also bring those comments in as well. Let's start with Luton Town versus Wimbledon and AFC Wimbledon. Most people there thinking, they're going to be in those bottom six. Wimbledon fans, though, are a little bit different. They're a little bit more upbeat. They think that they might be able to just get into that middle third and be safe this season. Will that be? Let's see, because they're playing a really tough side. Luton Town made some really good transfers, haven't they? And I think that they've not overspent, which is absolutely amazing. I thought they'd dip into their pot of money from the Premier League parachute payment, but they don't seem to have done that really. Not as much as what I thought they might do. And there's no financial fair play in League One, basically, is there? So I thought they might have done that. However, done really well. 4-7 on for Luton Town, 14-5 against a draw, and 4-1 against Wimbledon. 4-1 actually is not a bad price considering the difference there. I think that it's always very, very difficult to judge the first game, isn't it? And people don't really want to start giving really good odds where you might actually suddenly get bit in the arse because you've given too steep an odd. I think 4-1. Looking at the rest of the odds there in front of me, it's actually not a bad price. If you think that Wimbledon have a chance against a side that have just come down, because they're going to be having to play a League One style football. They're going to be playing against a League One style football at least, which is a little bit more rough, a little bit more harder. Wimbledon will be playing that tough style of football, the hard battling style. Will the classy Luton be able to cope with that? Because Birmingham had a little bit of a trouble with that in the first 2 or 3 games, and then absolutely flattened it, didn't they? But in the first few games, they just found it a little bit tough. Will Luton Town do this? I don't think they will. I think 4-7 for Luton Town is actually not a bad price. I think that to bet on it, I would have probably wanted it a little bit better for me on that one. But if you're going to be assured that of anyone, you have to be assured of Luton Town in that one. Let's go to the next one. It's Cardiff versus Peterborough at 12:30 on Saturday, the 2nd. Cardiff City. This is an interesting set of odds. Cardiff City 4-9 on at home. Peterborough United 6-1 against, and 3-1 for a draw. Now, actually, 3-1 for a draw is only slightly better than the Luton Town game. So, that's interesting here, because we seem to be suggesting that that Cardiff have a really good chance, don't they, of winning this. And I'm sort of stunned by this. They're 4-9 for Cardiff against 4-7 for Luton, and I can't see why. Peterborough can actually cause an upset here. Peterborough are that sort of side who can just slip into playing absolutely brilliantly. Look, they changed their formation last season. Will it work this season? They've had a full year to try and get it worked out. They've had a full summer transfer window to try and get them playing the style he wanted to this year. And I think that this year may just be a little bit of a turning point. If they can turn it around, Peterborough, they can turn it round in this one. 6-1 against Peterborough winning. That has to be worth a punt, doesn't it? Peterborough here could certainly win it. at least draw this one. Cardiff were a bit lacklustre. They've not really done very much, if anything, in the window so far. So I'm a little bit tempted for the Peterborough win here, and at 6-1, pretty good value. Blackpool versus Stevenage, and Blackpool 17-20 on. Again, it's a 12-5 against a draw. Stevenage 14-5 for the win. Yeah, I think Blackpool have to be odds on here. It's only just odds on at 17-20. I would have expected that Blackpool to be slightly more. So, yeah, we're looking at a pretty good set of odds there for Stevenage. Nearly 3-1. It's, if you think Stevenage can pull this one off, I don't think they can, but it's not a bad set of odds for the first opening day football game. Personally, I probably wouldn't like any of those to really as a really good gamble, but Blackpool have to be my favourites for that one. Bradford versus Wycombe, and we've got Bradford up there from the promotion chase last season, 11-8 against them winning, and it's Wycombe 7-4, which is basically 14-8. So not an awful lot. That's actually not a great deal of difference in these two. People are looking at Bradford and thinking they made a few good signings, and actually they may do one of these year one surges up the table. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It usually happens in the first few games. Wycombe up in the playoffs, of course, and teams that lose in the playoffs tend to do really poorly in the following year. Will Wycombe do that? I can't see them doing that. They have actually still got a really good squad. I think Wycombe, for me, are going to be strong. I think Bradford are going to be strong as well. It could be a draw, this one. 9-4 for a draw. That's actually not bad. That is actually not bad. 9-4 for a draw when you've got a Bradford team that's going to be really good and going for it. Some good people in there. Some good transfers. That I think that they're going to be really egging them on to get there, the fans. And I think that Wycombe may just find this a little bit tougher than what they expect. I think 9-4 for a draw might be worth one there. We got a Burton next. Burton versus Mansfield. Let's see what Burton Mansfield game has for us. So yeah, I had a little breath there, but Burton versus Mansfield. Burton are 13-10, so almost even money's there. Not quite, but they're 13-10 against. We've got a draw, 23-10, so nearly just over 2-1. And Mansfield 9-5. I mean, that's actually almost 2-1 there against Mansfield. People are really looking like we're going to go for the home win here for Burton Albion. I'm not quite so sure. I think that Mansfield do have a few tricks up their sleeve. Yes, things haven't gone all their way in the transfer window. I do agree. But, and Burton Albion have actually been busy. I have seen some of their transfer window shenanigans, and I think that they will put up a good fight this season, especially at the beginning. They need to. But Mansfield Town will be wanting to change the formation a little bit. I.e., they finished quite badly last season. Will they be able to cope with the different people in that squad? I think they have to do. I think it's going to be a really interesting game. It could go either way for me, and I think I can't even say that I think it's going to be a draw. I think it could really go any way at all. I would probably say the 23-10 draw here is my sort of that would be my preferred option here. Looking at the odds, looking at them being so even and not knowing which one it is. If I had to take a gamble, I'd probably be taking the 23-10 Burton Albion Mansfield draw. Next up we have Doncaster Rovers, newly up of course, against Exeter City. A lot of people thinking Doncaster Rovers will be poor this season. However, a lot of you on my predictions video saying, no, Doncaster Rovers are going to surprise people. They're going to be very, very good indeed. I'm looking at the transfer. I don't know if they're good enough to be safe mid-table, and but there again, Exeter can play the same sort of class football as a sort of bottom third team. So this could be a pretty poor game, or it could be a game where both try and stamp their authority on the first game of the season. I'm hoping for the latter. That's a really good start for both teams, both being able to come out at the end of the game, even if they lose, and say we actually absolutely nailed what we wanted to do, and even if we lost, we played a really good game. That's what I would hope comes out of this, but my worry is it could be a very dull 0-0 draw. 12-5 for the draw. That's actually pretty good, isn't it? 12-5. It's almost the same as the Burton Albion Mansfield 23-10. So we're sort of looking at the same sort of mix, and we are really, if you look at the two games aside, Burton Mansfield, Doncaster Exeter, quite similar. I think Doncaster will be on the edge here, wanting to do well at home, wanting to take that home advantage. 17-20 on for Doncaster, and Exeter 29-10 against. Actually 29-10 against when it's so even is rather tempting. But there again, it's a lot better than the odds for Mansfield as well against away to Burton. It may be tempting here to take a punt on Exeter City. I actually don't know. I think it may very well be a bore draw, but those odds are sort of tempting me to go for an Exeter City side bet there. And we go to the next one, which is Huddersfield Town versus Leyton Orient. Now this is a tale of two football clubs that have seen different aspects of League One last season. Let's just say that Huddersfield could do better is on their school report, and haven't they done amazing in the transfer window? All of you lot saying, when I did my predictions, they weren't that far up, and perhaps I got them wrong. Looking at how they've gone after that in the transfer window, oh my God, they have done well, haven't they? A lot of you now putting them in that top three, and even in the top two. I'm thinking 5-6 on for a Huddersfield actually isn't so bad. Leyton Orient Huddersfield draw, or Huddersfield Leyton Orient draw 12-5. Actually, that's not too bad either, is it? Are we going to get three lots of really good odds here? Yeah, we are actually, because Leyton Orient 3-1 against for an upset. These are actually three decent bets. 5-6 on. 5-6 on is actually a decent bet for a Huddersfield side that have done so amazing in the transfer window. I wouldn't be able to choose between them, to be quite honest, knowing how good Huddersfield are, knowing that the team that usually loses in the final of the playoff final tend to do really poorly for at least the first 6-7 months. I can see that happen, but Leyton Orient can pull it out, don't you? And they haven't been that bad in the transfer window, not really. They've done a lot better than what I thought they would. They didn't lose as many as I thought they might, and 3-1 against is tempting as well. So I actually can't decide between them. I would be probably torn between either a home or away win. I'd probably be betting 5-6 for Huddersfield, or a 3-1. Gamble on Leyton Orient not doing what most losing finalists do and dropping down. I think next is a Lincoln City versus Reading, and Reading have really done well, haven't they? They've turned this around, and most people are actually thinking this is an unknown. With a new owner, this could be the season that the players just want to play well for the owner. Let's play for the owner this season because we need to show him what we can do. Look, they played well last season against all the odds, didn't they? All that turmoil in the background. And they played brilliantly, totally against what we all thought they would do. Lincoln City did so well at the beginning, and I think they'll do so well this season as well. Probably at the beginning, look, the depths of squad will be still, I think, an issue for Lincoln City. Maybe a little bit of an issue for Reading, but not so much. It's 23-20 for a Lincoln City win. It's 12-5 for a draw. Just over 2-1, and it's a Reading win 2-1. So it's basically Lincoln City evens, draw, or Reading 2-1. I'm thinking that Reading can do this, certainly can, and Lincoln City can. This is another one where you could see any one of these three results. I think that this time, though, a 2-1 for Reading, is that enough of Lincoln City are the favourites here, and I think they're good for being favourites. However, 2-1, would that tempt me away from a Lincoln City win or even a draw? That draw looks quite good at 12-5. That might just about tempt me a little bit more than the Reading win. So if I was going to be a betting person, I'd probably go for the draw. But equally, that 23-20 for the favourites are not as good a temptation as the Huddersfield win, but it's certainly good odds. Can't work out which one to go for. I'd probably go for the draw. Let's go for the next one. This is a mixed bag of fish. This really is. This is Plymouth Argyle versus Barnsley, and Plymouth Argyle are 19-20 on, so basically evens. Barnsley are 5-2 against, and a draw 12-5. So the draw just over 2-1, and basically the same for the Barnsley win, 2.5-1. So not much difference there. As far as the returns are concerned, don't dislike me because I don't know the figures behind them. As far as what we're going to get back for every pound, I'll say that so that the same two people don't harass me for not knowing how betting works. I think that as a bettor, I'm actually looking at that as just on the numerical basis. I'm seeing that Plymouth are actually pretty much even money. I think from the way people have been saying this, though, and I saw them in America play, because I was in America at the time, and they played a tournament in the US, and Plymouth played absolutely dreadful. They lost to these guys with beer guts that were How's Your Father United or something. The name even said it. It was really dreadful, and they lost. They just couldn't play that. I mean, admittedly, it's a short term. It's I don't know what side football it was. It wasn't the normal football, but it was the gameplay was dreadful, and their gamesmanship thought in their head of who to pass to and when just wasn't there. And a lot of the Plymouth fans actually on my channel are saying, I don't think we're doing very well. We've lost a lot of our good players, and we haven't brought in to replace them the same quality. In fact, we've brought in mid upper half League One players, so we're looking at the top half, not the top two. And one or two have annoyingly said, that they hate everything I've said. We've not looked at the individual Plymouth transfers in. Can't do that. I'm not paid to do this, so I don't. This is all free from me. I don't get paid anything for it, so it's my time for nothing. So I'm not going to spend 12 hours looking at each single transfer for each team. But on the whole, Plymouth have made some good transfers. I think that some of the Plymouth fans are underestimating some of those transfers. They're still damn good League One players. Will they be favourites, though, against a Barnsley side that can play really well? Yeah, they finished appallingly, Barnsley, but they just seem to have this inability to just keep... They first 3 minutes or the last 3 minutes of the game, they were losing the game. And they have to stop doing it. They started the season so well. I think Barnsley will start the season really well here. For me, I think a draw is a pretty good bet. Let's have a look at the odds. Plymouth 19 to 20. Yeah, I can see that. 12 to 5 for a draw, though. And I'm thinking this could be a good bet. 12 to 5, that's pretty good. What's the Barnsley score again? Like I said, 5 to 2. Not too far behind that, is it? So for me, I'm thinking the likelihood of a draw here is probably the one I would go for. Plymouth are really good at home, aren't they? And I'm going sort of 5 parts of me are going for a Plymouth win. 3 parts are going for a draw. If I was trying to get a little bit of money back on this, I'd probably gamble on a draw at 12 to 5. Next up, my team up here, Rotherham United. Rotherham United versus Port Vale. This is going to be a lot tougher than what people think. 23 to 20 for my side, 23 to 20 against for Rotherham, 23 to 10 for the draw, and 21 to 10 for the Port Vale. So again, this is one of those where they're thinking Rotherham's really should be winning this one. However, not too far behind are the draw and Port Vale together. Port Vale have made 1 or 2 really good signings. However, they've also got some pretty good players from League 2. Can they do it in League One? They might be able to. I think that the odds here are sort of pulling me towards, because the Rotherham odds there actually for a win aren't actually that bad, are they? 23 to 20, almost evens for a side that they're expecting to win. However, 5-0 trouncing at home to Sheffield United. Without putting anything up, they've already got one defender in, and he's got injured with a hamstring issue within the first 3 weeks. So I'm sort of typical Rotherham, isn't it? I think one of those other two, a draw or a Port Vale win, is not too bad a bet, and I would probably be saying that draw looks pretty tempting. 23 to 10 Rotherham United versus Port Vale draw. Next to last is a game at 3 o'clock on Saturday, the Wigan versus Northampton. Wigan 23 to 20. Obviously these have to be the better of the two, doesn't it? They're looking good for being in the top half this season. Some of us, including me, thinking they could actually be in that top group of 10 teams. I think they could, and I think they probably will. They've done well in the close season. I think that they've really been playing some good football pre-season. 23 to 10. The 23 to 20, the same as Rotherham, 23 to 20. Probably about right there. Northampton Town, probably again, the initial thoughts of how they're going to play and how they're going to do this season probably equates to Port Vale. So I would probably expect the other two odds to be about the same. Let's see if they are. For the Rotherham game, a draw was 23 to 10. For the Wigan game, it's 21 to 10. So not too far away, but they're thinking, a couple of points more possibility of a draw. For the Northampton, it's 9 to 4 again, so two and a quarter as against 22 and a little bit, so slightly less chance of a Northampton win. So they're sort of erring towards the draw as an alternative here to Wigan winning. However, I think Wigan at home in the first game for me would be probably a good bet. And it's 23 to 20 for the opening game. That's actually not bad. As a part of a sort of threesome of of scores like that. That would probably be a good bet to add with one or two others. I think Wigan versus Northampton, 23-20 for a Wigan win. Yeah, that's good in connection with one or two others as a sort of bet, accumulator bet. We go on to Sunday, and the last game of this first opening set of matches is Stockport versus Bolton. Very important game, this one, because we've got Stockport thinking, we need to start this one well. We need to start it. Obviously, there are certain sides here that will be around that top group, and Stockport will be hoping to set it going from day one right near the top. They are at home, 7-10. That's actually quite a poor one, because a lot of people will be thinking, they will be in that top group. But look who they're playing. They're playing Bolton side, who we know have done some really good business, and equally Stockport have not been behind the bush. They've been making sure that the players know what they're doing this season, and I think that they've improved that class of football just enough to be able to be still in that top half. Bolton to win 7-2, so 7-10 for Stockport, 7-10 on 7-2 against Bolton. That's an amazing price, really is. 13-5 for a draw, so that's just under 3-1 for a draw, just and 3.5-1 against for Bolton. I'd absolutely be going Bolton with this one. I think Bolton can really scupper Stockport on this one, and they will be out to try and make sure they do exactly that. I think they can. I'm sure that they've been trying to work a plan out to cope with some of those little problems they had in the first half of the season. But managers change, and I think that they will be playing a different class of football away from home this season as we try and start from a clean sheet. So for me, I'd have to be going Bolton there for a 7-2, and with part of an accumulator, that must be really, really good. That would certainly get it going from the start, wouldn't it? Please do join me live as I go for an opening day watch along with the opening game there, which is Luton versus Wimbledon. So we'll have a little bit of a watch along. Please do join me as we start season 25-26. League One is about to start. That's my betting odds game by game. What do you think? Do you agree? Please comment down below. Do you disagree? Don't give me a give me a thumbs down. Give me a comment down below. I prefer to hear you ranting and raving down below in the comments than stopping the video getting shown off. So please do like and subscribe, and I'll give you some more, including the watch-along videos. It's John S. Sports Channel, over and out for the beginning of League One 2025-26. Wow, it's here, guys.